Namaste. I'm Nikita, and today I'm going to talk about the importance of finding a good coach. So first of all, let's understand, what is a coach? Well, a therapist explores, a counsellor listens, a mentor gives advice, a consultant gives expertise, but a coach is simply present, sharing the space with the client. A coach facilitates the client in identifying their own patterns in order to structure their own actions and guide them towards the desired outcomes. Now, notice how I emphasized on the word their own. So it's very important to note that having a coach, a good coach, which is what this video is about, is not about having someone who is going to tell you what to do. If a coach tries to tell you what to do, then in fact they are not coaching you. So a coach is someone that mirrors the client in order to help them bring to their awareness the patterns that are not serving them well. So what a good coach would do is empower the client to notice their thought and language patterns in order to eliminate their limiting beliefs. So a coach, as I said, acts as a mirror. What they do is they merge together with the client into a state of flow. So in my opinion, a successful coaching session is one that flows seamlessly, with ease and effortlessness. The outcome is not necessarily the end goal, but a measure of success can be the effect that the session has had on them. Now, there are different types of coaching. There's relationship coaching, business coaching, career coaching. Now, each one perhaps does vary, and there maybe is an outcome in, say, business coaching, for example. The goal is to give the client strategy in order to be able to work on a particular area of their business. But what I'm referring to is general life coaching. So in this session, there shouldn't be an end goal, in my opinion. But what should be measured is the effect that the session has had. So it's not so much what were your takeaways, but it's more like, where are you now? What are you feeling now compared to when you came into the room? So this can be shown in their state, whether that's their body language, their facial expressions, or better still, in the actions that they then go on to take. If a client goes away from a coaching session and changes their behavior in any way, like for example, they start going for a daily walk or they start doing meditation, that is a positive outcome of the session. But that wasn't necessarily one of the objectives. So a good coach organically navigates the process between themselves and the client, providing them with a safe space to reflect, to share, to explore, and potentially transform. You may have heard of the term transformational coaching, and this refers to coaching that is done at a very deep level, with the desired outcome that the client will come out of the end of the process as a transformed person. Now, in my opinion, all coaching is transformational, because if the person follows it through, then not only do their behaviors change, but their beliefs change. And to shift somebody's belief system is the most powerful thing to do. And therefore, in my opinion, it is transformational. So a good coach uses various techniques when they work with a client, such as active listening. Now, this is a very important skill to have. I've observed a lot of coaching sessions and the coach interrupts. Now, this is a technique in itself, pattern interruption. However, if it's done without intention, then it can just be annoying. If the coach is talking over the client just for the sake of hearing their own voice, it means that they don't really understand what coaching is. Coaching is about giving the client an opportunity to reflect, share, explore, and discuss whatever it is that's on their mind. However, some coaches like to have an agenda and they like to tick boxes and make sure that they're getting through the points that they want to get through. And therefore, they will often interrupt. So active listening is very important if you want to be a good coach or to have a good coach. Another technique that I use quite often in my own practice is summarizing. Now, summarizing is a really good way of rephrasing what the client has said, but in their words. Now, this is very important. And again, I hear a lot of coaches saying what they think they've heard, but actually using different words. And what this does is it creates a jarring effect because the client feels as though they have not been heard or they've not been listened to. So they've just been talking for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and then the coach will summarize back to them and they'll say something along the same lines, but they won't use the words that they used. And this, I've been on the receiving end of this, and it does create that kind of almost jerk in the body. It's like, so she's not listening or he's not listening. But on the other side of that is another technique called paraphrasing. Now, this is where the coach rephrases what the client has said, but putting it into their own words, and that's okay. And a good coach will always say, I'm paraphrasing you here, because they want the client to know that they have been heard, they are being listened to. However, there's a reason perhaps that they're paraphrasing. Again, everything has to have an intention. Another technique which I really enjoy is matching and mismatching. And I enjoy it because it's very playful to mix between the two. Again, only if done with intention and positive regard for the client. So matching is when you match their pattern. So you notice a pattern in them. Say they say, it's really hard for me. I'm, not likely to get the job because I'm never very lucky. So they're in victim state. So they're kind of, blaming the circumstances, and they're in this kind of state where they're dwelling a lot. So what a good coach would do, and the reason I said it's quite fun and playful, is they would match that. They'd say, yeah, you're right, actually, it is going to be hard for you. You probably shouldn't even try, actually. You probably won't get that job. So that's quite a risky thing to do. And that's why I say it's playful, because not many coaches would do this, because it can create the opposite effect. It can make the client think, if they don't realise that it's being done in a playful nature. And that's why the expressions are very important. So did you notice the way I did it? I used my eyes, I had a smirky smile, so that the client would know that I'm not being serious. I'm just highlighting their pattern. I'm matching them. And then mismatching them would be the opposite of that. It would be going against that. But what if you get the job? What would happen then? And what if you get a promotion? So it's giving them the opposite but doing it in a, again, animated way. So that's why I say that's quite a fun technique to work with. And actually, it's a shame that not, more coaches don't use this, because it can actually really bring to the surface a lot of what's going on in the client's mind. So in a nutshell, and of course there's so many more techniques, these were just a few, but a good coach explores the underlying issues, because don't forget, most of the surface issues are not actually the real reason that that person's feeling the way they're feeling. It's not the root cause. So what a good coach will do is go deeper to really explore what's going on beneath the surface, and therefore tapping into the root cause, and particularly the limiting beliefs. So effective rapport building is very important in order to be able to really understand somebody and their thinking. So mirroring posture, for example. In coaching, a lot of clients, they will start to lean forward when they think that they're onto something, when they think they're making progress, and then they start to lean back when they're kind of reflecting on something, or they'll sigh, when they're fed up, or when they feel like they're not making progress. These are very generic. They're not, they're not a rule book or anything like that. But the body language and the gestures are very important, and the voice, the tone of the voice. You'll notice when the client's voice starts to slow down, when their pace drops, when the volume drops. I notice all of these nuances when I coach. And what's happening is we're bringing the subconscious thought patterns to the surface. So my goal as a coach is to deliver my clients with a bespoke session. So I don't have a generic one-size-fits-all coaching plan or strategy. I don't have a form or a questionnaire. I don't even write notes, to be perfectly honest with you. I am fully present when a client is in front of me. If it's a 1 hour session or a 1.5 hour session, I am fully there. I'm engaged with them, and it's all about them. The I does not cease to exist. It's not about me. Sometimes, rarely, I will use my own examples, but the thing with me is I'm a coach, but I'm also a teacher and a mentor. And what that means is I teach people things, I impart knowledge, life skills. I mentor, which means I give advice, I give expertise, and I also coach, which is what I described earlier as a mirror. So because I play 3 roles, sometimes I hop between roles. So for example, if I find a client is stuck with a certain pattern, they're unable to really overcome where they're at, or I feel like we're not really going anywhere, they're just kind of dwelling on the same situation or thought pattern, I will put my teacher hat on and I will impart a piece of knowledge. And I usually do that through telling a story, which is usually about myself or somebody I know. I'll give an example. Of course, I always maintain confidentiality, but that is the only time that I would swap hats and I would say, okay, I'm going to be teacher now. Of course, I don't say that. I just go into it. But if I feel that they're disengaged and they start to switch off, then I will stop and I'll go back to coach mode. And I can tell because, people will look away or they'll look down, or you can just tell that they're thinking, this is my session, why is she telling me a story? In which case I'll go back into coach mode. Sometimes people want a mentor. They do want some advice. So they might even actually say, what do you think I should do? What would you do if you were in my position? And that's when I don't give them advice, but I give them different situations that they could do, the different scenarios I point out to them. So I say, well, you could do this or you could do that. So I don't tell them what to do, but I give them more options. Whereas a coach wouldn't typically do that. They would ask the client, well, what do you think you should do? So those are the different ways that I use my own skills to create a bespoke session for my clients. In my style, I'm very comforting. I offer a lot of reassurance. I'm very positive. I'm very encouraging. I don't I try not to. Sometimes it does happen, but I try not to focus on the negatives. So if, for example, someone has an issue that they know that they have a problem, they have a diagnosis, perhaps they have anxiety disorder, I don't then dwell on that and say, well, with your anxiety disorder, it's bound to happen. And I know other people do that, and I don't. And the reason I don't is because I focus on what they can control, what's positive. I try and get them to move more towards the desired state. So in a nutshell, what I do in my coaching sessions is I'm present with my clients. I just simply show up. I'm there for them. I reassure them. There's no judgment. They can say anything they like, and they know that I won't judge them. Perhaps they're trying to change a behavior, or perhaps trying to come off an addiction. If they come the following week, they know that they can be honest with me and tell me the truth, that actually I didn't manage to do that behavior, or if I didn't manage to come off the addiction. So I'm not going to judge them, because my belief behind that is we're all on a journey, and that's okay. So I'm not disapproving if somebody comes to me with a piece of bad news, or they tell me that they were not able to implement a tool that I taught them. So what then I do is, as a coach, I listen, I explore, and then I might put my teacher hat back on and think, okay, what tool can I impart to them now in order to be able to get them to have that shift? So overall, I combine a range of modalities, and I'm very quick at switching between them. So I use coaching strategies as the main thing, like clean questions, reflective inquiry, genuine curiosity. But the aim is really to enable the clients to draw on their own resources. So my belief is that we have all the resources we need within. So I'm simply there as a guide, just to be present, just gently hold their hand. I don't even hold their hand. I gently touch their finger and show them the way. So if you think that you like my style of coaching and you would like to work with me, feel free to reach out. I have some capacity at the moment for one-to-one, but I have lots for group sessions, and group coaching is wonderful. I love being a part of a group coaching session as a participant, and I also love being a coach, because there's so much that we learn from each other, and it's nice to see all of the ideas and the narratives and the dialogue bouncing from one person to the other. And you'll get people in a group that are observers. They sit back and they watch and they listen. And then you'll get other people who are more vocal. And what I do in my sessions is I pick up on cues. So if there's somebody that's sitting right at the back and they're quiet, they don't say anything, they don't participate, they don't put their hand up, but I notice a subtle nuance in their look. I've said something, or somebody else has said something, and they have shown a reaction in their body, in their face, their eyes lit up. Something has happened. I'll call on that person and I'll ask them, what happened? What's happening for you now? What's happening in the moment right now? So it's very real time. It's very much the here and now. It's not like a group lecture where, people are just sitting and I'm giving a demonstration or, reading from slides. That's not how I coach. That's very effective for other kinds of activities. But for coaching, it's very much in the moment. It's about what's happening right now. What realizations are coming to light for us. That's all it is. It's about becoming aware and realizing what we are going through in that moment. So if you think that my group coaching online or in person sounds like something you would benefit from, or one-to-one, please reach out, connect with me on social media, like, comment and subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is very important for me. It motivates me to want to create more videos like this, to be able to share, to be able to impart and reflect with you all. So thank you again for being here, for listening, and I look forward to being on this journey together. Namaste.